Okay. Dear ladies and gentlemen, so it's time to introduce Mrs. Christine Boulanger, founder of Visages en Face. The objective of her work is to create a space for understanding through a participatory approach to portrait art. Listening, looking, and understanding, those are the three essential skills combined with passion that she needs to do her work. We hope you had the pleasure to discover her portraits in the art exhibition. Let us welcome Christine. She will talk about art, soft skills, and professional development, a novel approach to drawing portraits and writing life stories to promote individual and group efficiency. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you, Julia. I'm just going to try to have access to the screen behind me and see without turning my back to you. Ah, right, perfect. This is great. I'm very thrilled to be with you, and bonjour or bonsoir de Paris. And thank you to the Eduniversal team for inviting me to tell you about my vision of art, soft skills, and professional development through an innovative approach to portrait art, and that promotes live portrait art to draw. It's about drawing portraits. Sorry for the confusion. It's a bit new to me. Drawing portraits and writing live stories to promote individual value and group efficiency. So we spoke about it already a lot today, but the COVID-19 crisis, as well as the digital revolution and the impact of artificial intelligence, are pushing us to rethink the way we work, the way we team up, and the way we live in society. And here is the screen where I want it to be. Yeah, that's where I want it to be. Okay. So how can we carry on involving people remotely? How can we restore a true sense of community? And generally, how to support change in organizations? So I'm Christine Boulanger, and I was a consultant for more than 10 years. And I realized how little we know about those we interact with professionally. 2015 is a key year for me. A redundancy plan is launched in the group where I work. And that same year, 2 terrorist attacks happened in France. I needed beauty, and I wanted to offer a new way of opening our eyes. So I started visiting my neighbors to get to know them, to draw their portraits and tell their stories. 1 year later, we organized an event. We projected their portraits on the walls of a new station in Paris during a Parisian event called Nuit Blanche. And people who usually pass through that station stopped walking and started talking to each other. So that's when I decided to create a company called Visages en Face. So my work is about instilling curiosity to develop a collective dynamic. According to the results of studies, such as one carried out by the MIT in 2010, a group's performance doesn't rely on individual cognitive abilities of its members, but rather on on the collective intelligence of that group. And so one of the drivers of that collective intelligence is a sensitivity to others, our use of soft skills. Soft skills are emotional and interpersonal skills. And of course, there are many of them, but here are four skills that are most valued in the workplace, and I think they are particularly important. One is adaptability, being able to quickly learn new skills and behaviors to show flexibility and openness. Another one is emotional intelligence. I'm getting mixed with the slides, sorry. Emotional intelligence, being aware of your feelings in order to communicate effectively, to understand others, and to diffuse conflict. A third one is assertiveness, being able of facing complex situations and dealing with problems instead of running away from them. And the last one is respect for others' opinions, qualities as well as weaknesses. So how can we work on these skills? I don't believe there is one magical recipe, anything. But here I'm going to tell you a bit more about the approach I created. So I'm getting confused with the slides. Stay with me. So it's a collaborative approach to portrait art that makes it easier to talk to one another and to get involved, be it through exhibitions, readings, or workshops. Portrait art is a powerful act of recognition. It's a mediator that brings people together in a collective project, which values each contributor. And it's a way of supporting change, be it relocation, reorganization, integration of new processes or new staff or neighbors. I'm trying to get to the next slide. Maybe I've gone a bit too far. Oh, no, that's an example. Okay. So I wanted to show you an example here. It's an example of an exhibition made for an organization operating in 12 regions of France. The objective of that work together was to bring people together, even when working in separate locations. After we established project guidelines, I made live or remote portraits, and we set up a physical and a remote exhibition, virtual exhibition. So here is the feedback from Marc. Marc is the communication manager of that group. He told me afterwards that there is an authenticity in his portraits that gives them great resistance. This is even more important after the lockdown as we are getting back to work. The portraits displayed together make us realize that we not only work in the same organization, but that we are part of the same big team. And that's exactly what I wanted to achieve. Whether shown, and that's the next slide, whether shown at the workplace. Where is the next slide? Here it is. So whether shown at the workplace or aimed at the general public, the portraits change the way we view our neighbors or coworkers. The readings reinforce bonds, the sense of belonging to a group. Now, here is another example, this time of a workshop. If I can show it to you. Yes, here it is. So it was for a French leader in wage portage. And here is the feedback of a participant. It's not Catherine on the picture, obviously, but. So the workshop started off with a rather unusual exercise, gradually putting emotions into words, generated trust, and eventually I caught myself seeing a genuine storytelling. So what is that rather unusual exercise? So basically, I invite the participants to draw each other. Drawing the others implies looking at them and listening to them without verbal communication. This silent exchange helps us to cement, helps them, sorry, to cement a special bond. And I created 3 workshops. One is let's meet each other. Portraits are made in pairs to get to know each other better. Another workshop is let's talk about it. We choose a theme to speak up and to encourage open dialogue, including on sensitive topics and matters. And a third workshop is let's tell our stories. Participants work on how they see themselves, how they introduce themselves to others, and how they tell their own stories. So portrait, as I conceive it, can't be boiled down to drawing. First, portraying others is about improving your focus. As Loris said, and that's the next slide. Drawing has helped me become a better listener. I felt more involved, more concerned about others. I would like to show you the next slide. Please stay with me. So I will go on. Dessiner is the French word for drawing. I would like to go to the next slide. So I'm still trying. Maybe I should dance in front of you in the meantime. Okay, so dessiner comes from the Latin word designare, just like the English word design. And designare not only means to conceive, but to indicate, to describe. And so drawing others means recognizing them. Yes, that's the slide. And second, portraying others is about working on your soft skills. So here is another testimony from Remy this time. We had to look each other in the eye. It almost made me cringe. However, in the end, this approach allowed us to talk about who we really are. Sure, this practice is unusual, but in the workshops, participants don't have to know how to draw. It's a matter of coming out of your shell and opening to others, going beyond prejudice and misconceptions, giving yourself permission to be curious. By drawing someone's portrait, you learn a lot about yourself. It's a practice that enables you to express your creativity, to sharpen your insights and your understanding of the world you live in. And last, portraying, while I'm clicking to try to go to the next slide, portraying others is about teaming up. Mark shared with me that the employees recognized themselves in these drawings of faces, which were both familiar and strangely intense, as though they were discovering them the first time. By drawing the others, we acknowledge them, we see ourselves in them. Each face is unique. Portraits reveal how each person is unique and how we are all connected. Eyes, stories, and their universal echoes become new levers for interactions. Yes! I've managed to go to the next slide, so I'm going to show you a bit quickly now. Okay, so that's it. I wanted to tell you that there is a selection of portraits during the event, and you can look for the portrait of Yassine. Yassine is about adaptation. which is a keyword that Sheriff Kamel mentioned this morning. Thalassa is more about assertiveness. Georgette is more about emotional intelligence. So that exhibition will allow you to have an idea of my work and maybe what we can do together. So you can contact me at the email address that should show on the next slide and give me your feedback. And we can also, of course, meet. And this is the end of my presentation. And hopefully I will be able to show you the last slide. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Christine.
I'm trying to get to the
another round of applause for Mrs. Christine Boulanger. Well, unfortunately, we cannot stay connected with our eyes, but we can stay connected with our avatars. If you have any questions, so please use the option raise hand, and our moderator will allow you to use your microphone. Don't hesitate to ask any question to Christine. Or you can use a public chat.
Thank you, Natasha.
Any questions?
I'm trying to access. Do you do? Okay, so
do you see the question from Tatiana Mavrenko? Tatiana Mavrenko is asking you, do you use it as a kind of therapy?
Actually, it is. I'm not saying, I don't announce it, I don't present it as a therapy, because then I love to approach people through drawing, because it looks like a light approach, but then we go quite deep actually. So yes, it's a therapy. It's an individual and collective therapy each time.
Thank you, Christina. And Victoria Winter from Nova School of Business Economics is asking you, what has been your most rewarding photographic experience and why?
Okay, why are you speaking about photography?
Victoria is writing. Or you can raise your hand. Yeah.
I've worked with photographs.
She meant drawing.
So what has been my most rewarding experience? The most rewarding one has been a collective one, really. It's when people discover their neighbors or co-workers' portraits, and they discover all the richness that there is, and because it's drawn and written portraits, and the drawn part is only to capture people's attention, and then they read the written part, and that's the most interesting part actually, because then people realize all the information they miss because they don't have the tools to get to know each other better. And yeah, it's actually it's a lot of emotion, but good emotions.
Okay, thank you, Christine. Any other questions from our audience? Okay, if you have no questions, so let's